You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth is he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. Feel it, you feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup exploring over 60 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold on tight, you never know where the crew of the TARDIS is going next.
Hey there, Whovians, and welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who. That's right, folks, episode 2. And we are ready, and we are gunning for Lux. And it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about this one. God, the chatter all over the internet on this one has been all over the place. So I'm very curious to hear what these fine folks have to say all about it. Of course, we are joined by a guest. Let's welcome him back. Ciaran, thank you, sir. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be back, as always. I'm very, very, very keen to talk about this episode.
I know. See, Doctor Who is even on the other side of the earth. It's pretty awesome to be able to talk to folks all around the world, to be able to do it, and not even have to charge them a tariff to do it. So it's even better. So it's great to do it. And I don't think we've talked to you since September or something like that. I think it's been
a while. What was the last one we did? Was the first
exactly
story, the Space Museum, that was fun. But yeah, no, I'm so glad to be back for the new series, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. So, and this episode in particular. So,
well, since we're 2 episodes in, he's thoroughly enjoying both episodes. He could basically say. So it is great to see you, though, my friend. And of course, we're joined by our regulars. Let's say hi to Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
And Ms. Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
Awesome.
So now I'm thinking about it, and my memory is crap, so forgive me, but have we had any episodes of the Doctor in Australia?
Yes.
Yes. You know what? So twice. I actually know this. So in the episode the first episode with Bill, the pilot, the Doctor lands in
Sydney Harbour.
Yeah, like in a pub in Sydney, in a bathroom. And I've talked about this on my podcast with my co-host Amber. In the Spyfall episode, they're in the Great Victorian Desert, which is actually filmed in South Africa. And it does not look like Australia.
But folks who have never been to Central Australia basically have no clue. So it's good.
Yeah, no, exactly.
At least they didn't film it in a quarry.
Exactly. And say it's Australia. And just put up a picture of the opera house behind them or something. I think, they put a green screen with the opera house and, so awesome.
Because certainly in before New Who, it was rare that the Doctor ever landed outside of England, right?
There's been instances,
Yeah, the Paris, Amsterdam, a couple of times.
Okay.
But yeah, like we had an Australian companion, and yet she didn't go to Australia ever at all.
Well, she couldn't even catch a Concorde. What do you mean? So there you go.
Well, she wasn't even a real Australian, so.
In some audios, like I just listened recently to the adaptation of the novel Goth Opera, and that actually starts in Tasmania. They're at a cricket match in Tasmania. So
okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And that is your geography lesson for today, folks. This is Australia.
Join us next week.
Well, I thought it was appropriate. I mean, we're not in England today. It's a historical episode, but it's not in England. So.
Nope. In our next episode, we will actually be talking about the deep, dark pit that's under Pittsburgh. Now, so there you go. So awesome. I think there's not a ton of Doctor Who news since they're focusing mostly on the new season right now. You haven't heard anything about the spinoff. I am hearing rumors, though, that we are going to be getting a trailer for the spinoff after the end of the season. In the final episode.
I think we talked about rumors here.
Yeah.
I hope we do.
We do. But we do anyway. only we talk about rumors when they fat fortune us. If it's
When-
talking
when-
about
yeah,
rumors,
when it's
where about-
convenient for
Exactly.
us.
Because there's a lot of rumors out there.
Oh, we are not touching those
Oh, we could
things.
talk rumors.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. There's been maybe there might not be actual news, but there's a lot of
there's
chatter.
rumors.
There's a lot of chatter.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. RTD crossed his eyes. That means the new series is canceled. Yeah. So, God, I am so fed up with that crap. And
Ryan Gosling is the new Doctor.
again,
how do people not understand that? Like it moved. Like it's being co-produced by Disney Plus. Their like model is 2 seasons and then wait and renew at the end of that last season to renew for another 2 seasons. How have people not got that? That's what's going to happen.
Well, exactly. And folks also need to remember. I know we're going down a rabbit hole, folks, but Disney does not own Doctor Who. BBC does. And
Actually, no, they don't. This is an
actually,
interesting
Bad
point.
Wolf does now.
Yes, Bad Wolf owns Doctor Who now, but they have to license it back to the BBC.
Correct. So I stand corrected there. But that's why we have you here, my friend, to be able to keep me on my toes.
This episode we're about to discuss is so meta. There's actually a character that looks right at the camera and tells us that this is when this series is going to end.
Doctor Who.
Right.
Oh, you know how many people have posted that? It shows that the show is ending. Oh my God.
I bet RTD was laughing his head off.
Oh, of course he
reading
was.
this.
He did it purposely. So, yeah.
Of course he did it purposely.
So there you go. All right.
Everything he does is intentional, which is something I will get into when talking about this episode.
Oh, of course. All right. Let's jump in with the geek seat because, Ciaran, we're going to find out a little bit about your Whovianness.
Oh.
So, are you ready?
Yep.
All right. So let's take a general, upper level. We'll start with really easy. Who was your first Doctor?
You say this is a matter of contention. So I was born in 1989, and my dad,
you're a baby.
I feel older every day. My dad maintains that, like, when he took me home from the hospital, such a weird thing to say, he gave me my first bath in front of, while he was watching Sylvester McCoy, the final season. So there's that, and I think my earliest memories are of reruns of Peter Davison on the TV. But I have such a clear memory of that one night in 1996 where the TV movie came out, and I remember sitting far too close to the TV and being absolutely wrapped with Paul McGann. And I'd been recording it. It got to the end. I just very calmly hit stop, rewind, play again, and just watched it all again.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
I think Paul McGann is right. I always feel such a strong connection with the Eighth Doctor.
Is that why also partly you're such a big fan of The Big Finish?
I think it's partly that. I mean, I also had such an upbringing with audio. Like, I love audio, and Australia doesn't really have much of an audio scene. Well, it does now with podcasts, but before that, it didn't. So I grew up with radio plays, and when I was in my teens and I found out that Big Finish were doing this, and also, yeah, like you said, like, there's new Paul McGann, like, there's new Eighth Doctor. I got that, and I listened to every second of it, and I loved it. And so, yeah, that's where my love of Big Finish, definitely, there's a big part of that in there.
Oh, I totally understand that.
And of course, that's why you love the Master so much.
Of course.
Of Eric Roberts in that movie.
I see a lot of people slag off Eric Roberts. I think Eric Roberts is commanding in that performance. He's sexy in that performance. It is fantastic, and the fact that his wife's in it with him is just very fun. But no, yeah, I love Eric Roberts in that.
That's awesome. I know he was so over the top, and it was fun, and I could see why you like it, but I'm biting my tongue also at the same time. So there you go. Which Doctor would you want to travel with?
It's the Eighth Doctor, and not just because I love Paul McGann. It's the Eighth Doctor because in a lot of one of the beautiful things about, again, like the audios, is they love hinting at things that we haven't seen. And there's always a sense that Paul McGann's, like the Eighth Doctor with Charlie or Liv and Helen, have actually had quite a lot of really nice adventures that haven't ended in death and disaster. Like they actually have got to that pleasure planet and gone and had a massage and just had a really nice time. And that's, I have a bit of a worst, like I would be terrified to like actually meet a Dalek. But going to a nice planet and having a nice dinner, that would be fantastic. And I think the Eighth Doctor is the closest I'm getting to that.
Okay.
It also feels like the last time the Doctor had fun, like, before the Time War and everything, it was the last time the Doctor just had fun.
Mm-hmm. He was a free spirit more and wasn't, racked with guilt for, destroying both the Daleks and the Gallifreyans. So, yeah, I could totally see that. What Doctor would you not want to travel with?
The War Doctor, because I don't want to be in a war zone.
Talk about
first
guilt.
First time. We got a first here, Mike.
Yep, I know. Wow, mark it up on the board, folks.
Because he's on the other side
What
of
do
the
people
world.
normally say?
Colin.
6.
What?
6.
6? Really?
Yeah.
I think I would have a lot of fun with 6, especially the sort of softer 6 from the audios when he's traveling with Evelyn.
Oh,
like
the
that.
audios is
Well,
totally
that's different. That's, it's almost like he's a different character. And
Yeah.
I like to say Big Finish has redeemed the Sixth Doctor in so many ways.
Absolutely.
So, I've said that multiple times on the show. You can look it up, folks. Really, you can. We'll wait for
most of the people that we talk to are anti-strangling.
Yeah. What geeks you out most about Doctor Who?
Yeah, this is the one I had trouble with. Like when I looked at the questions, I don't know. I don't know. I geek out most when, look, I love time travel storylines. I love innovative storytelling where things just sort of, click and make sense. I like I'm a bit of a sucker for a twist, I think. Because I love stuff like M.R. James or I don't know if you guys are familiar with Inside Number 9, which is, great sort of black, like I like sort of black comedy, and when Doctor Who does black comedy, it does it well. And I think that's because Doctor Who is now largely being written by people like me who grew up with Doctor Who, but also just a bit of read a lot of horror stories.
Oh, sure. No, that totally makes sense. And, you've got to, figure where do I fit in about Doctor Who and what hits. And there are no two people that are the same with that either.
Yeah.
So, no, it's totally understandable. What turns your geek off about Doctor Who?
When people don't get the source material, or they think they've got the source material, but they haven't. Like you're watching Doctor Who and like a writer will put in a line for the Doctor that just does not, it just clangs when it lands. And you're like, you haven't got this. But my biggest pet peeve is especially writers in the 90s. So some of the Virgin New Adventures or the Missing Adventures and things like that. These were these writers who Doctor Who was no longer on TV. They didn't have a oversight to them. And they were the kids who had grown up watching Doctor Who, but now they're sort of rebellious young adults. Or, not so much young adults. They're in their 20s.
Right.
And so they try and make Doctor Who more grown up, which in itself is inherently childish. Like there is one story where, like, there's one book where I think it's Dodo is sexually assaulted, and you're just like, no,
you don't do that in Doctor. Yeah,
you've not understood this. You're just trying to make it more grown up. And we did a book on our show by John Peel called "The Power of the Daleks" that didn't understand the Master, didn't understand the Doctor. And all of the female characters were just basically, when Doctor Who does really bad female characters, when it's being written by these guys in the 90s and beyond who just don't get it.
Nope, totally makes sense. But yeah, I've read a few of those, so I know what you're talking about, and it's just yeah, I could see that. Which Doctor Who companion would you like to meet the most?
I thought about this question for so long. I was just like, who would it be? I was like maybe Liv Chenka, but that's mainly because I'm just in love with Nicola Walker. I thought I could have fun with Charlie Pollard or something. In the end, I was just like, you know what I would really like? I would like to just sit down and have a nice meal and a drink with Jago and Lightfoot.
Oh,
I think that would just be just a really nice, calm evening, just having a chat and a drink and eating with these sort of charming Victorian men. I feel like that would be the way to go.
wow. That's one I would have never even thought of. That's awesome.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, I know. Which Doctor Who villain would you not like to meet?
Like I said, the concept of the Daleks is really, really scary. And like, if you actually met one, you would be terrified. But the character that I would least like to meet is Sim Shah, like Tim Shaw, from Jodie Whittaker's
Tooth Man.
Yes.
Yeah, because he just looks just like it triggers something visceral inside me. He looks disgusting. Someone once said to me that he is an escaped Red Dwarf villain, which just makes sense.
It actually does in some ways.
Disney jump shows.
Yes.
But he's disgusting, and I would not like just teeth in the face. Ugh, hate it.
I remember that. We made fun of it a lot during that season. And here we go. Of course. Thanks, Chibnall, for that memory. And who had at 11 minutes and 28 seconds into the show? All right. What was your favorite Doctor Who geek out moment?
It's the 50th anniversary for me, just because it actually managed to pay off, and it gave me exactly what I wanted from Doctor Who, but not exactly what I expected, which is nice. It had built up really nicely over the season, but the thing about it was, as I said, when I was a kid, go back to 1996, I'm watching this Doctor Who movie, and it's on TV, and literally none of my peers know what Doctor Who is. Like no other kids my age in Australia knew what Doctor Who was, or at least I never met them. And then you fast forward to the 50th anniversary, where it's suddenly this huge thing, and I'm going to the cinema on the day of the 50th anniversary with my partner and my dad's, and watching that in this space, and just the moment of all the Doctors turning up in what, let's face it, it's an Avengers moment, but like all of the Doctors turning up is like, no sir, all 13. And I just remember just sitting there just totally in awe and coming away from it going, this is the best thing. Like, this is the best thing I have seen in a long time. And I'm not sure I've recaptured that sense of joy of Doctor Who since the 50th anniversary. I've enjoyed Doctor Who, but I'm not sure I've captured that level of joy.
No, totally makes sense. What was your most disappointing Doctor Who geek out moment?
There are a couple of things that always, I'm just like, oh, that was a missed opportunity. Like the Rosa Parks episode, they go through all this thing about how Graham's a bus driver, and I'm just like, why would you not? I mean, sure, it would take Doctor Who to a dark place. Why would you not make, like, the bus driver gets sick and you have to make Graham be the bus driver that kicks Rosa Parks off the bus? Like, that's how you do the emotional gut punch. But the one that got me most was the haunting of Villa Diodati, because I'm a huge fan of Mary Shelley. I love Frankenstein, and I just love Mary Shelley as a person because she was just such an incredible human being. Like, her father was the proto-socialist. Her mother was the proto-feminist. She was just an incredible human being in her own right, and her husband was an awful person, and Lord Byron was just the worst man imaginable. And that weekend it spawned the first work of science fiction. And that episode just turned her into like a two-dimensional like girl pining after her boyfriend, who Shelley was shagging literally everyone else that moved. And by this point, yeah, I was disappointed with how she was handled. And again, like that's not a Chibnall thing. It's just that it's just unfortunate there were so many clangers within that series. But just that one, I just was so disappointed.
Okay, no, it's totally fair.
It is a Chibnall thing.
It is a Chibnall thing. All right, are you ready for your final question in the Geek Seat?
Yes, go for it.
What or who would you like to see on Doctor Who?
Is it too self-absorbed to say my name?
I think I said something similar, but not
that's at least what every fan would like to say.
Oh, yeah, of course. But
Yeah, like,
but they
I've been doing.
they would name a planet after you or an alien race or something.
Oh no, I mean, like, I would love to one day. Like, it's the goal I slowly work towards. I would love to, write for Big Finish. I doubt I'd ever get to writing on the TV show. I don't know, maybe, like that. But I'd love to write for Big Finish, and I'd love to. And I love doing voices. I keep thinking, God, I need to get that YouTube channel off the ground so that when Nicholas Briggs finally, carks it, they can be like, who's that person who does the good Daleks online? But that's probably just a bit maudlin.
I know you do a great K9. I'll say that much.
Affirmative, master.
See? So,
it's easy when there's a catchphrase.
Of course. So, good news, sir. You have officially done it. You have made it through the Whovian Geek Seat. Huzzah!
You survived.
Yay! Mr. Mike Gordon, tell the young man what he's won.
You have won a trip of a lifetime.
There you go. Wow. That can mean just going to the bathroom, or it could mean
I hope not. I mean, that's
going around the world, with the doctor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Your mileage may vary.
Exactly. The folks at the ESO Pod Network are not responsible for any gifts available on this show. All right, folks. That was awesome. Ciaran, you're one of us now. Not that you already weren't, but you have our respect now, so it's even better. So it's cool.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm very happy to, that you're here, and, how can people, find your podcast?
Yeah, sure. So, got a couple of things on at the moment. So, we've been quiet since the end of last year, but please attend carefully. The only Doctor Who podcast exclusively about the Master. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts from. The usual. I almost said from a podcast platform near you, which someone said to me the other day, and I thought that was the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but now it's actually coming out.
And you're saying it, and it's like, wow, maybe it wasn't that stupid.
It sounds very 90s, doesn't it? Another thing I've been doing, I've appeared a couple of times. I just want to give a really quick plug to a great podcast. I don't know if you guys are fans too of the British sitcom Blackadder, but there is a fantastic podcast called Lord of Adder's Black, which I've appeared on a couple of times now. They're really fantastic. I suggest everyone check them out. Lord of Adder's Black, hosted by Ian and Michael, and it's just charming, and they really know their stuff, and they've just been getting some absolutely fantastic guests on. Not me. I'm one of the less fantastic guests, but I suggest checking them out. But check both of those out. Just Google it. Comes up in the Google search results.
Oh, that is awesome. Awesome, sir. Well, folks, I think it's now time to take a break. But before we do, if you want to take a shot at the Geek Seat, we would love to have you on our show. Please write us feedback at earthstationwho.com. All right, break time, and we will be back in a moment. We are going to be looking all at Lux.
Over 200 episodes, the 42 Cast has brought you interviews, topics, and reviews that are unequaled anywhere on the internet. And that's not going to change! That's right, if you want to listen to a bunch of geeks talk about a random geeky topic and have a lot of fun doing so, then the 42 Cast is the show for you. It's your ultimate answer to fandom, geekiness, and everything. You can only find all this awesome as part of the ESO network.
Welcome back. Now we are time for Lux. of course, featuring the 15th Doctor and his wonderful companion, Belinda Chandra. It's very interesting to watch this going back to the year 1952 and Miami with air quotes. And it was very interesting to go back, and I'm going to be very curious to hear what you guys thought about this one, because I'm sure we're all going to have fairly strong opinions on this one. Let's start with our guest, of course, real quick. Your initial thoughts.
Fun. I like that it moves along very, very quickly. I think it bounds along really quickly, and the mystery of the episode doesn't stay a mystery for very long. It's beautifully acted. It's beautifully shot. There are some very, very, very deliberate choices in this episode that I will talk about when we go in depth. Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed it. I mean, look, Alan Cumming stands out in the episode.
Without doubt.
It's brilliant, yeah.
Nope, I definitely think so. And it was a neat homage to a lot of old cartoons of that era, actually earlier. So we'll get into that more. Mary, what about you?
Oh, God, I love this episode so much. It reminded me a lot of Devil's Cord, which is, I know, was very polarizing. People either love it or hate it, and I loved it. I think if you love that, you probably love this.
Oh, yeah.
I loved all the meta. I mean, they were just having so much fun, sticking in the Easter eggs and doing all the meta things, and the animation was great. They really captured that. There's that certain era of animation where it looks very sinister, and it has that kind of very fluid type of look, and they really captured that well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting into the meat of this episode and talking about it, because I really enjoyed it.
Yes. Very cool. And, of course, Mr. Gordon.
I enjoyed it a lot as well. I like the subject matter. I'm a big fan of cinema, big fan of animation. So, it's got, and to Mary's point, with Devil's Cord and everything, the Mad God Pantheon episodes, by and large, I think have been pretty strong. I mean, I didn't care for as we know, I didn't care for the finale last season very well, but I thought that Devil's Court and the reintroduction of the Toymaker were really, really fun. And this has got that same energy. Mm-hmm. When you have someone that you want to play a mad god figure, that's coming back, or that's going toe to toe with Ncuti, you have to up the game as far as the casting. And of course, with Alan Cumming, boom, it's interesting. I don't think I would have known it was Alan Cumming unless I was told. I was told that, I knew it, but man, he does such a great job, masking his voice, mm-hmm. that it just doesn't sound like anything that I've ever heard him do ever.
He does a great American accent.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just this, I don't know if it's an American accent. It's just a crazy over the top accent. It's just mm-hmm. Nobody talks like that, but that's fine. I mean, I should say nobody human talks like that. A lot of
don't
1930s,
make me laugh.
A lot of 1930s cartoons characters talk like that. So,
yes.
That's, and the effects, the look of it, everything was gorgeous. Everything I think was well done, well played. This one was a hit for me too.
Yeah. For me, I'm all with all three of you guys. It was interesting because, Ring-a-Ding was just a great, great character, and loved every, scene he was in. And, I studied animation when I was in college. And so we had to do all these history of animation classes. And this felt like it was right out of it. Out of, the Merry Melodies, Betty Boop era type such. And it felt, exactly like it. And, it's always been like, oh, what if one of those things came alive? And, we had that with Roger Rabbit. And, but this is like Roger Rabbit to a more of a horrific view, type thing. And, the scene where he came out of the screen at the very beginning, was a perfect cold opener.
Awesome.
That was just
They
great.
did that so well.
And it was interesting how they focused on the spoon. And I was like, why are they focusing on that damn spoon? And oh, did we find out why?
That's actually been a matter of contention. I've noticed people are just like, why is it that there's always spoons involved when there's the gods? So the light reflected off the spoon. When Maestro's seen in the Devil's Court, it's in the reflection of the concave of the spoon.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the Empire of Dust, the Doctor goes and gets a spoon from a woman who dies shortly after. Is this Russell T Davis's message on mental health? I don't know, but
yeah, he's a big fan of the Tick. Come on, it's really.
I think he's just spoon feeding us these.
Wow. And I thought my Tick one was bad. Boy,
or it's just a callback to all the spoons that have been used in Doctor Who previously, because that's been a thing.
Yes.
Well, the one Doctor that is the one that's most rumored to be like a godlike figure, did play the spoons.
Yes, he did.
Oh yeah,
That's
there you
true.
So I mean, it's all connected. It's all connected.
Of course it is. What did you guys like the cold opening? Did you how you didn't suspect what was going on? It was pretty. You had just a typical movie theater, and I didn't expect Ring-a-Ding to be one of the Pantheon of gods. That actually surprised me.
Wow. No, I thought they telegraphed that. I don't know. I
Really?
I thought, as soon as I saw the trailer for this, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh, that's one of the gods.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's going to be one of them.
really.
Oh.
Wow. I mean, I like that they didn't waste time building up to it in the episode. Like 5 minutes in, they're just like, okay, here we go. Like,
get it out of the way.
Get it out of the way.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's RTD hand waving stuff, right? I mean, he doesn't care about a lot of that stuff. He just wants to get to the good stuff or whatever, and he just sort of doesn't. I mean, there's a lot in this where it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't add up, or it doesn't click. It doesn't all connect very well. But again, as I pointed out last week, I mean, that's what you get with RTD. So, he's going to concentrate on character moments. He's going to concentrate on or have, in this case, he's going to have a lot of fun with some meta references, and then move, of course, the mythology along. But he's not really interested in like the whole thing about like, how does this work exactly? RTD's like, no, I don't care.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I mean, and I like the way they used the production setting and design, because I mean, if you look at Miami, it's very stylized. It's almost set up like a cartoon version of Miami, with the oversaturated colors and the very flat lines, and even the caricature of the costumes, the caricature of the guy in the diner.
Oh, worst American accent, by the way, by that guy in the diner.
Yeah, but he's very I agree, but he's very cartoon character. And I like it just seems like they put a lot of thought into making this whole thing gel, and I thought they did a pretty good job of it.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting. I did like that, and like you said, the feel of 1952 with the cars and then the palm trees and such. It's just like, okay, almost. And, it felt like the diner felt like one of those cheesy retro diners that you go to, they used to have on the boardwalk in Los Angeles. And, it didn't feel like, it just felt like what people imagined a diner was back then.
RTD's not going for realism.
No, I know. Oh, trust me. I know.
I actually think it was a deliberate choice for not going for realism.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was trying to be as meta as possible.
Oh, in so many different ways. And we'll get there.
That's a good question, because, we were kind of, I'm looking at the design the last week's episode, or the first episode, where the toy, like the robots and the spaceship and everything, has a retro look to them, like these things
They
you would
look like
find
toys,
like you would find in the 40s or 50s of toys, right, or science fiction, maybe even 60s. But in any case, like there's that element there, and I don't know, whether it's has a deeper meaning in terms of what's going on with the series, or like on screen, because there's certain discussions about what is actually happening with this doctor and what's going on here, but or whether it's a decision by RTD production wise to be like, I do want to make this family friendly, so I'm going to use things. We're going to have a production that looks like, everything does look sharp, everything does look neat, everything does look clean, everything does look like fun to play with, like a toy box of stuff. I don't know if that's gonna. I kind of hope that it's more of a production thing than it is a like a story element, but we'll see.
Well,
I get what you mean, but I mean at the same time, like you do have these, like the like you say, the 50s futurism robots last week, but at the same time you had what I thought was a very, very interesting of when the people were shot. It was a very deliberate sort of slow-mo disintegration, so you actually see their entire body break down, which I thought was a very, very dark sort of deliberate thing for you to see. Aside from the fact that it does kind of feel like it also, I think, possibly was meant to look a bit Dalek-ish, right?
I was thinking the same. I was actually just about to say that. So because
I think though that using those, but I think that makes those horrifying elements even stand out more. Like I think if you surround it with toys, like then the like it adds to more of a like a imbalance there, where it's like, oh well, that makes it even look like worse, that there's really bad things going on here. Because I don't think, like, this is way different than, when I grew up watching Doctor Who with Tom Baker, everything looked like it looked like a Hammer movie, like a Hammer horror movie. Everything was shot like that. That's not and throughout, and RTD has a tendency to make things look, a little toyish. I mean, we talk about his design of the Cybermen when he came and reintroduced them in New Who, and they were very much like, toys.
Marketing, my friend, marketing.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. No. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if we get a Mr. Ring-a-Ding figure,
I hope we do.
I would love that.
This is the thing, that the figure market at the moment is quite, like, because we haven't had a toy maker figure, we haven't had a Maestro figure, we've barely had anything. Like we haven't had a meep, right? Like you'd think that there would be cuddly meeps everywhere. Someone said on Blue Sky immediately after Lux, they're like, if this was 15 years ago, I would be able to walk down to the shops right now and pick up a small remote controlled robot that goes polish. Like,
yeah, of course. No, you might even be able to have a remote that you could do through your phone or something,
Yeah, exactly. But the oversaturation of the market is not there anymore. Like, remember, I was saying, I say this a lot, like, not everything has a TARDIS on it anymore. Everything has, like, there were slippers with bow ties on them. Who were they for? Like,
well, I know the Fez market went up quite a bit, so there you go. All right, yeah, I thought it was interesting. Let's hop into with the Doctor and, of course, his companion. And,
Belinda.
What did you guys think of Belinda and the Doctor's interactions with each other? Did you, because last time we saw, she was not too keen to be on the TARDIS. She wanted to go home. And this episode, it kind of got hijacked a bit.
Yeah.
And
I have conflicting feelings about that.
Do tell.
Well, I mean, it's interesting, and I've seen people debating this both ways online about how they wished that Belinda hadn't given in so quickly. I mean, it was really quickly in this episode where she's basically, all enthusiastic about following the Doctor and trusting the Doctor by the end of it. Where she had been not at all like that.
No, not at all.
In the previous episode. And I mean, in some ways, I don't want her to completely lose that sort of, at least being willing to question him on his crap. I don't want her to lose that edge, but I don't want them to hit us over the head with it either, because that could get old if she's just, sort of Tegan type of old, where they're just complaining the whole time about being in the TARDIS.
No, that would get very old. But I don't want her, yes, doctor, this is awesome, doctor. This is what you do.
Yeah, I don't want that either. And that's what it was like at the end of this episode, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that, but I don't know if I went fully like she was, like completely there.
Right.
And what remains to be seen, when we go forward now from this. But I do like the fact that she sees a different side of him here. Like the doctor she was introduced to, she called him dangerous, and she didn't want to be around with him because she saw that people die around him, and he didn't seem to really. I don't want to say he didn't care because once again, tears.
And we got tears this episode too.
But here, he's doing the right thing for the right reasons. Like yes, he's interested. Like, hey, there's a haunted theater here that's really cool. Let's go investigate.
They're the Scooby Gang.
Once he knows that somebody is like hurting and that he can help save somebody, then I think that gets her invested. And through the course of what happens here, a lot of things happen here that really, like, she thought the last planet that she was at was stupid. Like, there's a lot of things here that she just can't even get her head around, like, that things are happening. And yet he's able to handle it and then persevere at the end. And I think she's learned that, okay, this guy he's dangerous, but I trust him a little bit more because he's got, he's kind of good. And I think that she's got, that's what I saw at the end, but it remains to be seen. I would hate to lose her calling him on his crap too, because that is like really good.
Ciaran, you've been biting at the charm.
I feel like Mike, you just described in quite a lot of words, Stockholm syndrome, but but no, you're right. Like, she needs to keep challenging him on this. And yes, you mentioned like the tears. That is obviously a thing because they even focused on the tears of Mr. Ring-a-Ding at the end of the episode. So there's a thing there. But yeah, no, I like a companion that pushes back, and I do like the idea of one who's just like, no, I want nothing to do with this.
Right.
You're right. Egan got too much towards the end. Again, I suppose I've listened to a lot of Big Finish that has contextualized so much in my head. But the idea of someone who is so against traveling with the Doctor that they never get out of their work uniform. They're like, nope, I'm going home today. I'm in my work uniform. I'm staying in it.
Well, I loved how, at the beginning of the episode, I'm still in my pajamas, which was awesome. And I said, oh, do we have a closet to show you, my dear?
Ncuti is so fun. He's like, he's like, the best part. Wait till you see the dressing room, right?
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, they're just like kids in the candy store. He is so infectious and fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was interesting. And, I've seen people complain because, they touched on segregation a little bit, but they didn't go, some people are saying they didn't go far enough with it. But I don't think that's what the story was about. And, when you had Dot and Bubble, where that was the main that was the hidden story behind everything, where last season, where with this one, it's just, that was the era of segregation in the South, especially. And this was a whites, you didn't see any signs that said whites only on the movie theater or something. It was just brought up because back then, yeah, but it was, back then you used to have signs that said whites only, or you had whites only, or colored sections of the diner or whatever. And, that it was just, it was glossed over, but I don't think that's what the story was meant to do, be all about.
I'm not sure I would say it was glossed over. I mean, they did they did bring it up more than once. It wasn't the main focus of the story, but they weren't forgetting about it.
No, and it was
still handled more directly than it was still handled more directly than say in Classic Who. In Remembrance of the Daleks, there's a bit where Ace is staying at this boarding house, and there's a sign in the window that says "No blacks." And so, or no coloreds. And she takes the sign out and she goes to the woman who runs the boarding house. She's like, what does this mean? And then the next scene, you just see her fuming, leaving the building.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right. But exactly. And, it was interesting how, even I liked how the doctor said, even to Belinda, even you are not allowed in here, with your skin color. And so it was touched on, but it was just a very ugly time in America, so.
As opposed to now,
so many strides.
Look, I think it's important that it's acknowledged, and it's acknowledged, and it even works itself into the plot in some ways, some scenes. So I think it's not ignored, but it's not. Again, it's not, and it's okay for RTD to go, I'm going to acknowledge it, but that's not what this particular story is about. I mean, there's other, I know, a lot of people really hate the, when shows are on and they just try to sort of present this idyllic world where of the past where there's no racism, right? There's you have you're watching something about I'm watching a new Sherlock Holmes show called Sherlock and Daughter, right? And there are people of color walking around and interacting with people in 1886 or something like that, and I'm just like, yeah, that's not something that would really happen. But they're just they're just cast these people in there to put, and there's something to be said for that too. I understand some of the theories behind doing that, but Doctor Who's made a conscious effort not to do that, and I think it's the right decision. But like I said, Russell T's not trying to give us real life here. He's not trying to make it's historically accurate so that we get bogged down in a lot of the details.
Yeah, the story, as you pointed out, the story is not about the 50s, because if you go down that road and go, oh, why didn't they go into more depth about this? Okay, why didn't they go into more depth about misogyny? Why didn't they go into more depth about homophobia in the 50s? If we're doing a cutting expose of the 1950s,
right?
Sure, but no, we're doing the fun fantasy show about the light monster. That's what we're doing today.
The light monster.
Yeah, but we're not ignoring it, but we're not. That's just not the main focus of this particular story.
Right. And
exactly.
I think that's and I think that's perfectly acceptable. And I thought it was used very, it was acknowledged and used very well. I think to an extent. So as much as it was.
Oh, exactly. And it was interesting. I did like when the Doctor and Belinda got animated.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah.
That was wonderful. And it looked so much like the early 70s animation.
Filmation?
The Filmation stuff. I felt like it was either second, third season of Scooby-Doo or watching the Harlem Globetrotters cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like that they were doing that on purpose. As they kind of got developed, they were like through like the history of animation, like, and getting better and better, right? Like they were getting until Lex at the end is full CG, like he's fully like a 3D CG.
Oh, he was scary as hell looking when he was.
A lot of the cartoon designs, when you see them, like as real life figures, are terrifying.
Mm-hmm. I've seen different YouTube videos and stories and such where they take cartoon characters that you know and love and make them more 3D or more realistic, and it is scary. It's the thing of nightmares.
Yeah, you ever seen that one of Popeye?
The Simpsons ones too.
Oh, the Simpsons, yes.
Yeah.
I remember they did an early version of 3D animation with Homer becoming 3D.
Oh yes,
they did it all in the Simpsons.
The Treehouse of Horror
Simpsons.
one. Yep.
Yeah.
And so,
did anyone else think when like, because they showed in the trailer that the Doctor and Belinda get animated? Did anyone else think, like, the first place my mind went was that what was going to happen was they were going to be put in an animated world, and then they would have to try and defeat like Lux or Mr. Ring-a-Ding as he was then. With like the logic of a cartoon world. Like, I wanted the Doctor being like, okay, I can't think my way out of this. I have to drop an anvil on his head. Like, I have to paint a tunnel on a wall.
Exactly. Or pull something out of his infinity pocket or something like that. Yeah, exactly. I think that would have been brilliant if they would.
That would have been interesting. I don't think they had the animation budget for that.
Yeah.
Especially because the animation was all hand drawn for this episode. Yeah. None of it, like all of the 2D animation, all hand drawn. There was no computers used.
Oh, I know. I saw the behind the scenes stuff, and it was beautiful. The stuff
the animation was great.
Yes, and it was awesome. I loved that, and then I loved, like Mike was saying, how as they became more 3D and more realistic, it went through the history of animation in a lot of ways. And then they became human again. And I loved, how do we get out of here? We pull the frames. I loved
that's got a very Duck Amuck feel to it.
I was about to say exactly that.
Which was released in 1953. It's a Looney Tunes, which Daffy Duck tries to escape. For those people who don't know, everybody go and watch it. Although it's going to be hard to find now because I think Max took all their Looney Tunes off.
You could still find it on YouTube.
But anyway, it's awesome, and it's a very meta cartoon, but it's hilarious. And there's a lot of kind of references of that in here, where they work it in. And it is interesting that it's like, that's 1953 cartoon and this is 1952. It's almost like the thing, like this incident inspires
Duck Jones,
Warner Brothers to make Duck Amuck. Normally when we get a historical episode, we get a famous figure, right? And so we don't really get a famous figure here. We get a famous figure-esque wannabe, like the cartoon. Mr. Ring-a-Ding is obviously sort of a silly symphony 1930s kind of comic character, right? Cartoon character. But it would have been interesting, especially since, recently Steamboat Willie is now in public domain. It would have been really interesting, especially on Disney, to use Steamboat Willie as the villain, but I guess they didn't want to go that far. Disney was probably like, no. You
don't think that was going to happen.
It's one thing for Steamboat Willie to be in like a lot of horror movies now, but like we don't want him to be a horror character in Doctor Who.
I thought that again, I'm sure we're just leading up to the meta moment, but at that one point in the meta moment, they're just like, the villain has changed his motivation. And I was like, well, I don't think the villain changed his motivation. I think he kind of changed his, I don't know, theme. Because like when he starts, you very much get the sense that because Light has animated, if you like, this animated character, that he had to obey the rules of being an animated character. Like when they say, what is your name? And he has to start singing, I'm Mr. Ring-a-Ding. Like I thought they were going to play into that more. Yeah. That they were like, it would be like if they animated, as you said, a different character. It was Wile E. Coyote. And like they were able to stop him literally by holding up a sign that said, like with an arrow pointing that way, and he had to go that way. Like he has to obey the laws of physics of the body that he's in.
No, that would have been awesome if he would have done that.
It's one of my disappointments of the way this plays out, because I don't think that there's like a lot of rule, like it's too loose, and there's some things that just don't click that could have clicked. Like he makes a big deal, and his catchphrase is "Don't make me laugh," right? And he says it so much, and Alan Cumming is so good, but he says it so much that it's really like scary. Like "Don't make me laugh," right? And I'm like, what happens if we do?
Yeah,
we never find
exactly.
Out. We never find
out. We do.
You do hear him laugh, yeah.
Yeah, he says, "Don't make me laugh," because it sounds like this.
Oh, right.
But I love that because that's Maestro right there. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, that's not the payoff I wanted.
No,
so maybe I'm just disappointed in the payoff. I didn't think. I thought that was like that was not like a payoff. That was just a little like clue thing. It wasn't really.
I know what you mean. You expect him to laugh, like if he is made to laugh, he suddenly like turns red and like steam comes out of his head
or something.
Like
something. He grows horns and becomes like a demon
more
or
monstrous.
something.
I expect if you make him laugh, people die.
Yeah,
that's what I expect, and that's not what we get.
That's what I was hoping. Yeah. So, but yeah, instead he walks around, what are you talking about? And he holds a flame in his hand, type thing to help to threaten the projectionist, type thing. And it's just like, that kind of was weak for me. All right, let's jump into the meta. We got to. We've been doing this for
like looking in a mirror, is it?
Oh my God, too scary. I almost cringed and died laughing when they hit the screen and it popped out and
literally breaking the fourth wall.
Right.
And walking and seeing the people in the Whovians. I loved it. It was just awesome.
I'm nailing my colors to the mast here.
Yeah, go for it.
I think, and I will maintain this, I think Blink is Doctor Who for Doctor Who fans who would like their Doctor Who a little less Doctor Who-y. Like, they don't really like Doctor Who, so their favorite episode is the one that completely departs from what Doctor Who actually is.
Of course.
Well, yeah, I think that was actually the joke that RTD was trying to get across, that everyone's favorite episode is the one that barely has the doctor in it.
I think also on top of that, I think it's a double thing, because I think on top of that too is that RTD's going, I am sick and tired of people telling me that they like Ciaran Moffatt's work more than mine.
That Stephen.
But the story that the Doctor holds up, he's just like, what? Not the one where I'm standing on the landmine? Is another Ciaran Moffat story.
Well, but he also says the Gremlin one, or the one with the trolls or whatever, the musical. Like he says a couple. I mean, he's like, don't you like he's basically like, don't you like any of my stuff? And they're like, no, we don't.
No, we like Blink. Blink.
The fan on the end, I wanted her to be a real deep cut pretentious fan. Yeah. So I wanted it to be like, oh, what's your favorite episode? Blink, Blink, Sharda.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
We all know that one band is just like, actually, my favorite story is Scream of the Shulker.
I'm a real Pertwee fan, I was like, the third Doctor was mine. And it's like,
yeah.
But I loved the the old school Cyberman shirt, and she was wearing a fez, and the other one had the scarf and the unit t-shirt, and it was just wonderful. It was just so fun.
It's kind of a love-hate thing, kind of like Love and Monsters, right? It's kind of like a love-hate thing of RTD kind of playing around with the fans and everything, which I thought was fun.
I think it was actually put in to shut up the fans, right? Because
that's not going to happen.
No.
Yeah, that didn't work.
RTD doesn't want fans to shut up. That's not no. And then people stop talking about it. He wants people to talk about it.
But it's like, since last season, people have been going, oh, the big thing is going to be that Doctor Who is a TV show, right? And he's just like, fine, I'm putting it in episode 2, season 2, just so you guys shut up. That's not what we're doing. I'm doing something better than that.
Well, fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
We'll see. I do, sort of question his ability to stick the landing occasionally. So, actually, a lot every season. Yeah. But
I'll give RTD credit. I mean, they're on the screen for a very short time, but I actually cared when they quote unquote die.
Oh.
You already are getting to like these people who are.
We're just going to vanish when we pull this down.
I mean, their whole lives literally are watching Doctor Who. That's all the only life they have had.
I know a lot of people like that.
Well, exactly. That's the point.
I'm just surprised they didn't have a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they probably do now.
Oh, I'm not surprised on that one.
Yeah, you're right. That is so sobering.
Yes. I don't want to say I've been, looking in the mirror there, but yeah, it was fun, and I couldn't believe how much I was laughing, because we had friends over and they had already seen the episode, but they wanted to watch it again so we could see Judy's and my reaction when that scene happened. And so it was worth it. It truly, truly was worth it.
Really fun.
And I'm glad they came in the after credit scene too. You know.
Yeah.
We're alive.
We're alive.
I mean, yeah, he saves the people in the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have like a lot of death and destruction.
The only person who
one.
dies was the projectionist, I think.
Yeah, and he kind of wanted to go.
He wanted to be with his wife.
Yeah, he's with his wife. There's no, it's hand wavy as to how that happens.
Mm-hmm.
He saves everybody, but it doesn't really make sense in any sort of way. So, again, another RTD thing. He's just like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And I think he's given himself more license with this run, with Ncuti's run, because of the whole, like, we're doing magic characters, we're doing fantasy characters and fantasy stories instead of, traditionally sci-fi or horror or anything. I mean, he's still mixing it up on occasion, but more than most of the ones that he's writing are basically just the fantasy ones.
Oh, exactly. What did you guys think about the whole thing with the Doctor still having the regeneration energy in him to heal himself? I think that was just like a MacGuffin type thing.
I have opinions.
And consider me shocked here.
Okay, and in this bit here, I kind of need to encapsulate. There's things that I've noticed that no one seems to have noticed, and I kind of want validation here, right? So Russell T Davies, as we know, doesn't do anything idly. Everything he does is deliberate, and there have been too many references to previous Doctor Who stories for it to be a coincidence. So if I can just sort of list them quickly here. So for example, when they go when Belinda and the Doctor go get changed, if you look at that scene of them walking up the gangplank and then walking out the door changed, it is exactly to the beat when Ruby and the Doctor did it. Yeah. Like the shot for shot. The fact that they can't go to a specific date, they bounce off it, is the Time of Angels, when they couldn't go back to Amy and Rory.
Right.
The fact that they're heading for a specific date, which is exactly like the Impossible Astronaut. And there have been a few others. So when Lux dies and the Doctor says, "You're 60% water, you can still drown," I can't remember what story that's from, but that quote, I know it comes from somewhere. But the thing that got me, I'm going full circle here, I told you guys at the beginning, I watched the movie over and over again when I was a kid. The scene where the Doctor is being strung up and he's being held up by his wrists and light is coming out of his body, and the things that he says to Belinda, he says, "You know what to do, you go do it, run, go do it now," is word for word, shot for shot, when Paul McGann's Doctor is having the energy drained out of him by the Master. Like, these are not coincidences. Like, that is very, very deliberate. It's as if Russell T Davies is doing Doctor Who's greatest hits. I mean, Belinda is even Clara, right? She's this person who's come into the Doctor's life before. She's mysterious. The Doctor has to find out about her. She's Tegan. He has to get her home. But yeah, that one scene where he's held up and the regeneration energy coming out, I don't know about whether he should still have bi-generation energy, whatever. But that scene of him doing that is straight out of the movie.
Interesting. I was
go watch it again side by side.
Yeah, no,
and even with the hand, I mean, that's from Time of Angels too. When he heals River's hand.
Was that time?
I mean, the Manhattan.
The Manhattan. Yeah, the Angels take Manhattan.
Angels take Manhattan.
I always said Muppets take Manhattan.
Yeah, because she broke her wrist getting out of the handcuffs.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't get the references to the past episodes, but I acknowledge that is interesting. My whole thing was that I appreciate that this Doctor, this version of the Doctor, I mean, he's revealing his bi-generation. He's revealing the fact that he's the last of the Time Lords, from Gallifrey to Belinda. He mentions that he's so open with his companions in a way that we've never seen before.
And actually, that speech of him being the last of Time Lords is very similar to one that Christopher Eccleston gives too.
So seriously, once you start thinking about them being like other episodes, go back and watch and you're like, it's like there's an awful analogy. It's like Panic at the Disco's final album, which is basically stitched together from other songs. And that's what it feels like. It feels like this is a patchwork season being stitched together.
Interesting.
Interesting. I wonder if that'll carry on onto other episodes.
I mean, it is.
Well, and we've seen Mrs. Flood in the different companion costumes.
We have.
Yeah. So we see Mrs. Flood again.
Yeah, Mary brought it up, so might as well jump in.
Again, she breaks the fourth wall.
Yes.
That seems to be her shtick this season. I'm going to appear out of nowhere randomly and break the fourth wall. She says the Doctor's show is a limited run only, ends May 24th. So of course, that a lot of people are on top of that as well. Before we get into like what that means, which I still don't know, can I just say that Anita Dobson is so delightful. Like,
wonderful.
She doesn't, like, we don't know what she is, who she is. I mean, the speculation is rampant out there, but every time she's on, she is both charming, friendly, and menacing at the same time. And that's not easy to pull off. And yet she does it and nails it every single time she's on. So that it should be repetitive. I mean, it's only the second time this season, but it's still like, is this going to keep happening? But instead, I'm like, I can't wait to see Mrs. Flood. I can't wait to see where she pops up because she's so delightful.
Mm-hmm. And now they're making it even more apparent that, because last season, she just popped up here and there, not every episode.
No, I think they said that this season, you're going to see her every week.
Yeah, I wonder if she's another god.
Which we kind of did that. I mean, again, I guess to your point, we kind of did that last season with the woman character, right? That we saw like over and over and over.
Susan Twist.
Right.
Yeah, with Susan Twist. And it's like, so, it does seem to point to some sort of big, huge reveal that this is going to be some sort of massive meta commentary on this series. I don't know how they're going to be able to pull this off if it is that ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems like a lot that seems really ambitious.
Right.
Yeah. One thing I will say is, and I think it's like last season when the season ended and people were like, well, we don't have any resolutions on these things. I think it's kind of clear now that Russell T Davies is operating on, because there are only 8 episode seasons, he's kind of operating on 2 seasons being one arc with a mid arc in the middle. And I think that's something we can probably expect into the future from the way it's going. And like, I have every faith that Doctor Who will be renewed. It's doing too well for them to not, I don't think. So, but yeah, so I think we're going to have resolutions at the end of this season from stuff from the anniversary specials. I think there's going to be payoffs. Like, remember Meep saying, wait till the boss hears about this? Who's the boss? We've never heard about the boss since then.
Not a word.
So that's going to happen. And RTD has even said in interviews, he's just like, when we know about what's going to happen with season 3 and 4, I've already been putting seeds in for season 3 and 4, even though we're not ready. So there's also stuff that's not even going to pay off this season. But
and he has said that he's already writing the stories and the plots and such for 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So so not all hope is lost, young people out there. So it's awesome.
The only question is whether he can pull it off, and I'm not, like I said. I don't know if I'm convinced.
Trouble sticking the landing.
Yeah. So,
any final thoughts that we should hit before we go ahead and rate this one?
We mentioned him really briefly, but projectionist Reg, Reginald Pye is played by Linus Roach, who I really enjoy his performances. People might recognize him. He was Thomas Wayne in Batman's Begins.
He was also Law and Order.
He also was assistant district attorney for years on Law and Order, and I just think he's great. And I hadn't seen him in a long time, so it was good to see him in this part.
I was actually really surprised to see him on. It's like, wait a minute, that's Thomas Wayne.
Yeah. And my, oh my God, I'm so old now moment didn't come so much in the episode itself, but when I was watching the behind the scene thing, which always makes me feel old. But in this case, they were talking to the various actors and crew about their first experience going to the movie theater. And Ncuti said his first film experience was going to the theater to see Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And I was like, I'm so old.
All right, we're done tonight. Let's go get our walkers and go home. All right.
And I can't believe that there's at least one actor who's playing the Doctor who is actually promoting her work.
Yes. True. But we're not going to touch on that one. Not touching that one. All right. 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Ciaran, what do you got?
Five. I'm going to say 5.
Ooh.
Really? Wow. Okay. Wow.
I thought you were pretty critical.
That's pretty impressive. Okay. Mary.
I'm going to give it a 4.5. I mean, I loved it. I highly recommend it. I think there's some little things that RTD did in there that maybe weren't so smooth, but the production values are great. The direction, we didn't mention the direction. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The acting is great. The design is great. And it's just a really fun episode. And it's, doing a meta episode like that, it could have really gone south fast. I mean, that's hard to do and not come across as just kind of clunky and cliched. And he did it. He pulled it off. I was impressed.
It was impressive.
Yeah. So people go out and watch it. It's
fantastic. All right, Mary. Mary went. And so Mr. Mike.
I'm going to give it a 4. I enjoyed it a lot. I did, but I think the third act was really just hand wavy, and he was just basically like, I'm not concerned about really connecting these or giving you a satisfying conclusion. It didn't and as much as it was really fun to have Mr. Ring-a-Ding, I never felt I didn't get a Doctor versus villain moment that would have put it as a 5 for me.
Actually, we didn't even talk about this. What did you think about the ending, the way that it ended and it was resolved or not resolved?
I was going to say, not really.
It wasn't really.
I mean, it's just kind of he's just scattered,
He became one with the universe.
Yeah. He just turned into the White Guardian. Hey, I've seen that. I've seen that theory. So that's what I mean. It's just kind of this loose ending that I don't need everything tied up in a bow, but I at least would like something more interesting than that. So to me, it just falls apart a little bit there. But but everything else is top notch.
Okay, fair enough. Now, I was going to also give this a 4.5. What pulled it down for me, because I love this episode. For me, I think this is my favorite Ncuti episode so far. And I'd probably even go as far as saying this is probably my favorite Doctor Who episode, probably in the last 5 years. So I know that wasn't a stretch with the chipmunk ear.
I was going to say, maybe the bar not quite as high as
not a high bar there, favorite.
No, I know. But I enjoyed it. And the only thing that did pull me down from a 5, because I was almost going to do that, was the ending. It was, I'm absorbing all the light. It's making me see I'm becoming one with the universe. It was almost too hippie-ish for me. And that's for me to say that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Yeah.
People, you do not understand what that means.
I mean, that's a parallel there. Lux had so much light that it actually killed him, and Mike, this had so much hippiness to it, it actually killed your enjoyment of it.
It didn't kill my enjoyment of it, just pulled it down from a 5. I love this episode. I think it was great, and I would highly recommend it to people who haven't seen Doctor Who in a while. I would, it's a fun story. Yeah, it ties into, like everyone's been saying, all the pantheon of the gods and such. But I'm very curious, I don't want it to be every episode it being one of the gods either. So,
I mean, we had, 2 last season? So 3 if you count it as the 2-parter at the end. But
right.
But yeah, but I think this is these gods I liked. I didn't like the idea of making Sutek a pantheon god. I didn't like that at all, and I didn't like the way he was executed, and I didn't like a lot of that stuff. So
I know,
but this I liked. I liked this incarnation. This one I could see definitely fitting in with the others that we met.
Oh, I think it definitely fits in with the maestro. Definitely fits in with the toy maker.
Yeah, I mean, it's just right there. Like if these 3 were together. In a story, it would be incredible.
Because you even had the doctor say, "Hey, you guys have rules as the gods. You have to tell us, what's going on."
Yeah, well, I like the fact that he acknowledged, right in the way, he acknowledges that the doctor has already taken care of some of these gods. So I kind of expected Lux to be taken care of, and I guess in a way he is, but not in a way that I was satisfied with.
I think another deliberate thing in this episode is Lux, because his name is Lux Imperator. And the interesting, I think that was a very deliberate thing on Russell T Davies's part, is that his name is not listed in the Empire of Death. So, which sort of is Russell T Davies saying, there's probably some out there that you don't know about.
Oh, yeah.
They're not necessarily in the list that was given to you.
Exactly.
There will be more out there.
Exactly. So, so much we could talk about with that still.
I just want to ask this right now, though. Do we think Mrs. Flood is a pantheon god?
I think there's definitely possibility. Like the god of story or something like that.
I'm partly pushing, and, I've said this before, I'm kind of thinking maybe she's involved with the trickster. So, because the trickster's supposed to be one of the gods.
I reckon that she's going to be a character that we don't know. I think, even though it's hard, because Russell T Davies has a very big habit of the big bads of a season are always a callback character. Like, look at any of his seasons, and they are all a callback character every time. But I feel like she's probably someone that we don't know. I think I think what they're building up to is that she knows who the Doctor is, and she's the one who's playing out all these greatest hits of the Doctor's life. Like, I don't know, she's going to be the fan. She's going to be the fan or something like that.
The meta fan. Yeah.
The god of meta.
The god of fandom.
Oh, God.
So we definitely would love to hear you guys at home. What do you guys think of this? Please write us feedback at ourstationwho.com. Always the best way. We definitely would love to hear from you guys. And especially, our friends and our, fans, or our fan, as we like to say, and we definitely heard from one of our fans. Of course, we heard from Elizabeth Laney once again, and she wasn't so happy with Lux as we were. Here's her email. Hey, ESW crew. Loved hearing your thoughts last week about the first episode of the new season. Unfortunately, I didn't really care much for this week's episode. I found it to be underwhelming. After seeing previews, I thought I was going to be creeped out, but I wasn't. And was it just me, or did Belinda do a complete face from last week when she called the doctor out and was all about getting home? I'm really looking forward to some conflict feelings from Belinda for at least a few episodes. Probably my biggest disappointment this week is at the show's treatment of segregated 1950s Miami. They made a big deal in both these episodes and behind-the-scenes videos about not ignoring how people would have reacted to the Doctor and companion of color in a time period like this. But really, all they did was paid lip service to it. We did talk about that a bit this episode. They had a dynamic moment in the diner saying that it was illegal for them to even be there, but the people in the diner didn't even seem to care. In fact, none of the white individuals in this episode seemed to have an adverse reaction to the doctor. The only time in the whole episode that we see the doctor and Belinda face to face with racism is a manufactured situation engineered by Lux in the middle of the episode. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. We didn't talk about that.
They didn't even add some very easy and historical accurate details like separate white and black fountains. I talked about that. Or a sign showing segregated seating in the theater. They did more to highlight how horrible racism was in a few seconds at the end of last season's Dot and Bubble than they did here. Not a fan of the...
that was the focus of the whole episode.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. Dot and Bubble was completely all about that, but you didn't realize it until the very end. Not a fan of this episode. 2 out of 5 TARDISes for me. Thanks for sharing your opinion with all of us Whovians every week. Elizabeth. Thank you, Elizabeth. We do appreciate you.
I saw, regarding that is interesting. I saw somebody post or something about how the doctor's physiology has such that it kind of sort of like the psychic paper, like people don't see him sometimes for what he is sometimes, like,
or they just instantly trust him and follow him.
Yeah, like, I mean, it did seem like, to Elizabeth's point, like, it did seem like the cops and everybody was like really more, their comments and everything was more directed at Belinda than the doctor. And yeah, I mean, I don't think it's been anything that's been established, but I did see, I don't know, maybe somewhere somebody has talked about it, but I thought that was an interesting concept, but I don't know if it really is something that they do on the show.
I've always thought of it as the clipboard effect, right? Like, if you wear a high-vis vest and you carry a clipboard, no one stops you. Everyone, like, lets you in anywhere. Like, the doctor is just so confident in any situation and automatically talks to people like they're going to tell him what he wants to tell them. That, yeah, like, they're just going to listen to him, basically.
Yeah, he just has such an air of authority that they just go along with it, because frankly, most people do. I mean, look at the world today.
Yeah, that's true.
But just like the even though the chameleon circuit is broken on the TARDIS, I mean, it goes to different places, and places where a police box would seem out of ordinary, but we've seen them again and again reference the fact that nobody notices it because they just block it out. And it's similarly with him, like the way he dresses, it's like it doesn't match up a lot of times with other cultures or whatever, whether they're on other planets or on Earth, and he just gets away with it. So I don't know. It might be something that people are hand waving and just say like that must be it, or making excuses for it. But I don't know. I don't put a lot of stock into it, but I think it's an interesting theory.
Right.
It would be an interesting point if, like, 80% of Doctor Who stories didn't have the Doctor arriving, finding a dead body, and being immediately arrested.
Of course. There you go.
Happen a lot.
Nope, that's a good point right there. Well, folks, if you made it this far into the video or the podcast, please get a chance, like and subscribe. That would be really appreciative of us. And we would greatly, say thank you if you did. 5 stars or thumbs up is always appreciated also. So please, please, please get a chance to do it. We would love you for it. All right, let's wrap it up and thank our guest for being here. Mr. Moffatt, always great, sir.
Thank you so much. It is always a pleasure seeing you guys. You guys get me and my Doctor Who theories. It's great. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think that's pretty awesome. And of course, where can people find you?
Yep, sure. They can find me on Instagram on Mark 3 Vocal Machine, or they can find Please Attend Carefully wherever they get their podcasts. We've got more stuff coming out. But yeah.
That's awesome. And of course, let's thank our regulars. Mr. Mike Gordon, we've made it through another one.
We did, and as always, it's my pleasure.
Anything going on with Bat Chums?
Oh, yeah. Bat Chums is continuing to come out weekly. where we talk about the Batman 60 series. And in some ways, this would have been an interesting one to pair up with a Batman 60s series. Still waiting for that Doctor Who Batman 60s crossover.
You've seen that poster that's been going around, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. So we're doing Bat Chums. We're doing an episode of Dragon Con Report this month. Also, I've got the new project with New Legend Lounge. We've released 2 episodes, soft to release, and got more to come.
Awesome. And of course, Ms. Mary Ogle, always great to see you.
I always love talking to you guys, and this episode was an especially great one to talk about.
Yep, it's an extra long episode just for you guys, because we love you guys. Where can people find your work, Mary?
They can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Excellent. For me, I've been seeing other podcasts again, and I know. It's an open relationship. It's okay. It's in my contract. So it's a good thing. I joined Kevin over on the Flopcast, and we got to talk about comics of 1985. And, when you get me talking about comic books, it's hard to stop. We did an extra long episode of the Flopcast, but it was tons of fun. Mostly focusing around Crisis on Infinite Earths, but we spread out from there. Worlds lived, worlds die, comic books were read. It was a lot of fun. So, chickens were not hurt in that episode, so it was even better. So over on my other podcasts that I produce, over on Tales from Hollywoodland, this episode this week was the greatest detective stories of Hollywood in the movies. So we talked all about that. It was kind of fun. And then over on Julian Schlossberg's Movie Talk, we get to talk to Gary Cooper's daughter. And we have an interview with her, talking all about her dad and, growing up as a celebrity daughter. And so it was pretty cool. Lots of fun, and a little future episode that I want to plug, because today we got to interview Michael Palin from Monty Python. Nice. So it was pretty frippin' awesome to talk to, and super nice guy. That'll be in a few weeks, but it's definitely coming, folks. We got some good stuff. So check it out wherever fine podcasts are found. Join us again, of course, next week. We will be back weekly. I love this stuff. This is awesome. And we are going to the well. People have said we've gone to the well once too often on this show. So it's almost nice to talk about that one. Please, on behalf of myself, Mike Faber, thank you to Ciaran. Thank you to Mary. And of course to Mike G. We appreciate you. And Melanie will be back soon. She went to Star Wars Celebration, and I guess she had some bad sushi when she was there. So she's not doing so well. So until then, we will see you next time on Earth Station Who. Peace, and we are done. Bye, everybody.
You've been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.